The fact is, the peck of pickled peppers you Peter Piper picked was on private property. A litigation. You don't have to start your speech with something like that, but it is a way to get attention. So the TED Talk is already in the folder, so you may want to look at that before you start doing some of your preparation for your first informative speech. And he mentioned in his talk these sort of things that you need to consider as you present vocally to the audience, which is going to be me and anybody who happens to be in my classroom or my office when I watch it. So think about these things as you get ready to do your speech and how you can incorporate these different things into your presentation. How can you be honest and authentic, speak with integrity, and show love for your audience? Well, let's talk about that a little bit now in the rest of this presentation. You want to create a listenable speech, and the audience becomes the key consideration for that. The speech is about the audience, it's not about you. So think about ways you can present information that the audience will care about. They have to understand what's going on, and they're just listening. So they can't read it, they can't replay it. They hear it once, and they've got to understand it. So make sure that you have language that matches their ability to understand. And you have clear signposts. So tell people what's to come so they can get prepared for it. Think about how you can foreshadow, sort of predict what's going to happen in your speech. And make sure that you're cohesive and consistent. You don't want to start off with a kind of funny thing and then move on to very serious and then get into horror and then come back to silly. Be consistent and cohesive in your whole speech. Right? You need to speak with confidence. This is a 5-minute speech about a topic of your choice. You're going to inform me about this topic, so I think you should have some confidence in this. Right? Make sure you have effective nonverbal behavior. Again, you're going to throw this video up on YouTube. I don't want you sort of looking into space, not blinking, not having any facial expressions, not sort of moving around a little bit. Think about the structure of your speech. Is it logic? Does it make sense? Again, if I listen to it one time and one time only, what will I get out of it? Are you concise? You've only got 5 minutes, so you can't go over a huge number of points. So pick a topic that you can cover in depth in 5 minutes. And are you engaged with the topic and with the audience? I know it's difficult in this class because you're basically speaking to your cell phone or to a computer or a camera, but how can you get engaged and make sure that your nonverbal behavior shows that you care about this? So when I'm watching it, I feel that you're talking to me. Right? So select an appropriate topic. Again, it's a 5-minute speech. You're coming in 4.5 minutes to 5.5 minutes. Pick something you're knowledgeable about. Right? What's your central idea? So after the speech, what do you want people to come away with? What is their thought? Do you want them to better understand something? Do you want them to think about something in a different way? Again, you're just being informative. Right? Do some research. This can't be just based on your own personal experiences. You must bring in some research. And you must cite those sources informally. A report in the American Medical Association Journal found this. The Red Cross said this. The American Sports Leisure Manufacturer says that people spend. So sort of summarize those sources and then cite them informally. What are the purpose and goals of the speech? So what do you want, again, the audience to come away with? And how better to organize that speech so you can achieve those goals? Right? You don't need visual aids for this speech, but you do need visual aids for your persuasive speech. So if you want to try one out here, you could do that. Right? Introductions are extremely important. Talk about those before. Statistics, a quote, a question, referring to the occasion, a number of different ways you can do this. You're going to think about different ways to approach a speech in one of the assignments on the discussion board. You're going to have 2 different audiences for the speech, and how would you introduce that speech to different audiences? Right? And please have strong conclusions. The last thing your audience hears. Don't just sort of wind up, look around and go, oh, I guess that's it, we're done. That's not an effective conclusion. You want to seal the deal. In journalism, we call it a clincher, that last paragraph that clinches the story, that leaves the reader with something important. In this case, it's a speech. You want to leave the listener with something important. Right? Considerations. Again, the audience is important. Pretend the audience is this class. So you've heard some speeches, you've seen some things from the rest of the group, you know a little about what the people who are in your team. So what about their age and gender, religion, or ethnicity? Those are the demographics. What about the psychographics? What about their attitudes and beliefs? In the persuasive speech, that's going to become really important because you're going to try and persuade them to think maybe a little bit differently. And what about the rhetorographics? Right? You're recording this maybe at home, maybe in a classroom, maybe in your yard. What about the time limit? How does that sort of influence what you're going to be talking about? Different kinds of presentations. Excuse me. We're aiming for extemporaneous, where you have some talking points, an outline, or some kind of note cards. You're not reading the speech like a manuscript. You haven't memorized your speech, so it's sort of kind of remote and like a robot. And it's not impromptu, where you just have no or proper preparation at all. All right, think about outlining your speech. You're going to have to create an outline for your persuasive speech, but you may want to think about putting some thoughts down on paper or jotting down some ideas, parallel. Or use similar words to introduce each section of the speech. Maybe all three parts of your speech are equal in coordination. Maybe you want to have some things that are a little subordinate, that are not as important as other things. Maybe you want to divide things up. Maybe you want to have topic sentences and summaries and forecasts. So we've talked about all those kind of things before. You've seen these kind of things in your writing classes. So incorporate those as well. All right? I'm looking for some dynamic and enthusiastic vocal delivery. All right, so you're not going to be reading a monotone with your speech like this. This is your topic. You know about this topic. Express some emotion with it. All right? Different pitch, volume. Maybe you're going to get excited and talk really fast for a while. Maybe you're going to slow down because this is really important and I want to understand it. Make sure you pronounce words correctly. In one of the early assignments, a couple of you struggled with the word mediated. It's mediated communication. Right? I'd like to see some gestures from you. Some hand gestures, some facial gestures, those kind of things. Make sure you have eye contact. Again, I don't want you to see you reading the screen. I'm going to be able to tell that when your eyes don't move and you don't blink. And again, visual aids. If you're going to use them now, that's fine. If not, you're going to have to use one for the persuasive speech. Think about, as you do your research, give me some anecdotes. I'd prefer factual ones rather than hypothetical, but you can use hypothetical if you want to. Give me details. This is an informative speech. You want to bring it to life. Do I need background information? Keep that to a minimum. Give me just enough so I know what's going on. Don't spend 5 minutes giving me background information. Right? Statistics are really important, but don't use too many of them. A couple in a 5-minute speech is more than enough. So don't give me 10, 12, 15 statistics. Use analogies. So we talked earlier about signposts. So you think about a signpost on a freeway that tells you that there's a rest area coming up, or a gas station. That gives you an idea of what's to come and what's ahead. Do that in your speech. Give us some clues to what's coming. And you're going to use testimony. Your own personal testimony is fine. This is a topic you think about and you're really engaged with. But you can also bring in some expert testimony. So your job is to put together a 5-minute speech with some vocal variety and enthusiasm and some hand-eye gestures and those kind of things, and put it all together and have a good time. Good luck.